share. We eat together almost every single night.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I found the more lifestyle guys I get, um, client-based lifestyle guys, that's one of the difficult hurdles for them is eating something potentially different than their partner
Hmm.
or finding a way to weigh out that food while they're preparing it and things like that so it fits their plan. And that's one of the big objections I have with lifestyle guys.
All right. So, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bar. This is episode 2. I'm your host, Devon Grogans. We are here with co host Tommy John. And yeah, we're going to jump right back in from kind of where we left off last time. So, last time, episode 1, we just kind of introduced ourselves, talked about our experiences and how we got into bodybuilding, how we kind of led up to this point. And for those of you that made it all the way through, Tommy is a new dad. And we kind of left off just talking about how people were telling him that, basically his bodybuilding career is over now that
Mhm.
he is a father. So, before we dive into this episode, I really want to just talk about what this podcast is about. You guys, anybody that's tuning in here, you're probably already a fan of bodybuilding. You know that there's a million different places that you can go to find information on drugs, on training, on nutrition, and we will cover some of those things. But the way I've been saying this podcast is going to wedge itself is rather than the X's and O's of bodybuilding, we're going to pull the curtains back and we're going to talk lifestyle beyond bodybuilding,
Mhm.
bodybuilding with a family, bodybuilding with a spouse, everything else that you don't hear about that goes into what we do. So again, we'll
Mhm.
have guests on, we'll talk the X's and O's, we'll talk, peak week and prep work and everything else in between that goes with the standard. But we're not really going to deep dive because there's so many other places that you guys can find that. And there's so many other people that are probably far more experienced to talk about it than we are. And we will
Sure.
bring some of those people on. Um,
Yeah,
but
and we'll drop some of those names of the podcasts that we like here and there. We have plenty of them that you guys, if you're not following already, you can go there to find those types of things. So,
definitely. And so with this, we're going to peel the curtains back. And today we're talking about bodybuilding and, kids is kind of the main topic. We'll get into a few other things, but lay it on us. So newborn, what's it like being a dad? Tell me, because I have two sons. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, Grayson and Camden. But I want to hear from your perspective. How are things going so far?
um, things are really good so far. Obviously, I'm very early into it, so I'm not going to act as an expert on any of the things that we discussed today, because that's not my wheelhouse. But this is why I thought Devin and I thought together that this would be a good topic because he does have experience in this and I don't. So you guys are going to be watching me learn firsthand. You're going to hear from Devin's experiences. You're going to hear from our guests. And we thought it'd be a really cool idea because I don't think a ton of people are touching on it, at least not in a positive light. Anytime I hear children in bodybuilding, I hear negative things. And I personally want to be the change in the industry if I can to show people that it's possible. And Devin's going to show us where the adversity comes in and he's going to show us where the positives are. He's going to tell us about his experience, with some challenges, things like that. So I'm really tagging along to learn from him. And we're trying to teach you guys that you can have a family and be successful in fitness, sports, bodybuilding, whatever you might do competitively. Um, and I think from there, I'll have you kick it off. But yeah, so far, first 2 weeks in, they've been really good. He, my son Landon sleeps a lot. So that's primarily what he's been doing. We're getting some growth out of him, some laughs and smiles. So all those things are developing really quickly, and it's so exciting to watch. Uh, I don't want to miss any of it, and that's where I think part of it comes into play of finding ways when to structure your workouts, how long you're going to spend in the gym. Um, I already had a garage gym started. I started building a garage gym in 2011 when I first started going to trade school for heating and air. Because I worked a full time job, I went to school full time, so I literally had 30 minutes a day to work out.
It's amazing,
Um,
your parents.
so I bought some equipment from Elite FTS, built a small little garage gym, and ever since then I've been building onto that. So just recently I ordered more equipment, so I have a fully equipped garage gym, and I did that being planful because I knew that Landon was coming, right? So now I can jump in that garage and get my training done. No excuse about it. And if my wife needs me, I'm right outside that garage door. So that was my first proactive approach to fatherhood and bodybuilding. So I'll let you roll on with it, Devin, and see your first initial thoughts.
No, that's smart. So I've recently been putting together a garage gym. Um, we built our house about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, and there was a shop on the property already. And we went in with my in-laws because we built on their property and built a new shop. And they all wanted a place to kind of work out too, and knowing that I was big into fitness and all that. So I was like, well, I'll just start piecing together a gym. And so that was something that I wish I had earlier.
Hmm.
I'm currently prepping for North Americans here in about 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and it has come in handy so much. My wife, and I'll kind of this will all circle in, but my wife has been very supportive of me. She's not a big fan of the sport, never really has been with everything
Okay.
going into it at kind of
Yeah.
this level,
Hmm.
but she supports me 100%. And um, regardless what I've found, and I'll touch on, from the beginning when my son was born to now, uh, regardless of how much time you want to share, this is a selfish sport.
Oh yeah.
And it has to be. And I don't say that dauntingly, but there comes a point where there are certain things in order to progress that have to be done and cannot be put by the side. And when I was first starting out, I didn't quite understand. Now I say all that there's I hate using the word balance because there's not really balance, but there is the ability to balance a certain amount of imbalance, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to devote certain things. At the beginning, I wish I would have been better at that. And I will say you're already leaps and bounds ahead of where I am. I was fortunate enough and still am to have a best friend that runs a gym close to my house. And I would bring my son and just put headphones on him, and he would just sit in his car seat and most of the time just sleep while I trained. And if he woke up and got fussy, then I would leave and figure it out later. But for the most part, he slept through the training sessions when he was young. And then now it's gotten to the point where, like last week, I literally was pulling into the gym, parking, and my wife's like, "Hey, where are you at?" And I said, "Hey, I'm going to the gym." She had made some plans with her mom and her aunt, and wasn't quite sure on when the time would be. So I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna go get my training session in." I went a little bit earlier than I normally did. She's like, "Yeah, my mom and my aunt want to leave in like 45 minutes." Okay.
Nice.
I had taken my pre-workout. I'm at the gym, pulled in, getting ready to grab my bag, get out of the car. No worries. She's like, "Well, are you sure?" And she was saying, "Are you sure?" Like, get your ass home.
Yeah,
At the same
I
time,
know that. Are you
yeah,
sure?
yeah. It was that, "Are you sure?" Meaning the next words out of your mouth better be something along the lines of "I'm coming home." So I said, "Hey, I told the kids I would pick them up pizza." So I said, "Hey, I already ordered the pizza for the kids. Let me go grab it and I will be home and I'll just work out at home." So having something available to be to be able to utilize is huge, especially if you, even if it's dumbbells, have something
Mm-hmm.
that you can create a backup plan. And I think one of our future episodes needs to be our garage gym. And actually, when our
That'd be
next guest
fun.
comes on, he's got a pretty dope garage gym. So I think we could kind of talk
Yeah.
garage gym with him, and that would be a good one. But I just came home, lifted at my house, got a good, really good workout in actually.
Yeah.
Um, and then went about my day. And I remember I posted, you have to be flexible in certain areas of your life throughout all things. So a lot of times people would have just been like, well, I lost a session today. I'm going to have to train tomorrow, or I'm going to do push-ups or something. So
Hmm.
be flexible. If you have a family, understand when you need to fight that fight and when you don't. Because had I
Hmm.
been like, hey, let me hit the gym really quick and I'll come home, that would have been detrimental. So you have to learn how to balance those imbalances. Um, Having a garage gym, having even just a couple pieces of equipment, if it's, selectorized dumbbells, get something that allows you to get some form of work done on the fly. That's the first thing that I will say has made a huge impact in being able to continue bodybuilding with the kids. The second thing is showing them um, a healthy outlet. And I've talked to Skip about this, and I know we bring him up, but he made a really good point is, and I do this with my kids, just because you see me eat the food that I eat does not mean that you guys have to eat like me. My kids,
No.
like just today, my son had Popeyes, and it's not something we do frequently. I mean,
Right.
we eat out like that, or they do, maybe once a month, if not once every couple of months. They know
Yep.
it's a treat. And so I don't deprive them of that. We eat healthy as a family.
Hmm.
Um, but when I'm eating my ground turkey and cauliflower, they're still eating spaghetti. I'm still making
Yeah.
them, all the regular meals that we would have if I wasn't prepping, so that they understand that, this is something that I choose to do, that is my
Mm.
hobby, that requires me to do it for this period of time, and that they're not being drugged through it in that
And guess what you don't get to do when you're eating those foods while they're eating other things? You don't get to bitch about it
Yep, at all. I
because
never once.
you signed up for it. It's your choice. It's they did not sign up to do dad's bodybuilding show. You signed up for it. You're going to eat that food. They're going to eat their food. You guys can eat together. We don't
Always.
have to
We
eat the
always
same
do.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
We
eat
don't we
every
don't
meal. Well, not every meal, but
Mhm.
dinner.
And it's like, listen, you made this choice and you should have had this discussion beforehand with your partner so he or she knows that this is what X amount of weeks is going to look like until
Mhm.
I hit my goal. And then maybe we can structure something that's a bit more um, lenient, right? Um, that's where something like a skip load is a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Um, that's a time where you and the family can um, kind of have that freedom, you know, as long as it still fits your plan. But you do have some freedom where you can, like John Meadows used to do donuts on Sunday with his family. It was church and then donuts,
Yep.
and that was their Sunday thing. Um,
And that's what
but
we've
yeah,
been doing. And
hmm
communication is huge. So, I was going through prep. I did my first show to requalify because I took all of last year off. I took third at USA's a couple of years back, so I just missed my card by one spot.
mm,
And took a year off. And initially, my wife, it was a funny story. We get back to the hotel room from USA's. I just got done competing. I'm laying down, and I got off the phone uh, with Skip, and I roll over, and she goes, "Well, it sounds like you're planning an off season." I said, "Well, I just took third, and the feedback was you have the look we want, just come in a little bit tighter." And
mm,
we pushed a little more for fullness in that show, and it is what it is. I made that decision. We brought a solid look. They wanted something slightly different. And I
Hmm.
told her that. I said, I just missed my card by one spot. She goes, well, you're done, right?
Done
Uh,
for today.
that's what I said. I was like, yeah, I was like, for right now. And she was like, no, you're done. So I continued to just, kind of do my thing. And it got to a point where I was like, I feel like something's missing. And we had a conversation and just, kind of played it by ear. And she said, look, I understand where you're coming from and I get it. And if you feel like this is what you need to further your business, to further your career, and ultimately to get, I don't want to say redemption, but to get redemption, then I'm okay with you doing one more show. And so that's really like win, lose or draw for now because of where the boys are at. And this ties back in because um my son had made a comment that really got to me. And
Mm,
she said, I'm good with you doing one more national show, give it a go, but after this, I need you to be done for our family. And I said, I can do that. And it gets to a point, and this is not with everybody, but again, when I met my wife, I was not a bodybuilder.
hmm.
And so this is another big hurdle for a lot of people. If you meet the person that you're with and this
Yes,
is your
yes,
lifestyle already, they know what they're
yes,
signing up for. When you
yes.
decide you're going to start bodybuilding or do any sort of hobby, and
It's
that hobby,
hard.
and yes, and that hobby becomes your full-time hobby, it is very hard. And like I said from the jump, my wife is the most supportive person in the world. Even when we headed to USA's, the kids were getting a little rowdy. And I remember I was like, hey guys, can you be quiet? I was trying to do something. And she comes over, just taps me on the shoulder. She goes, look, you do what you need to do. I got the kids. And that's how down my wife is. So yeah,
Hmm.
she might not
Hmm.
like the sport, but she knows that if I'm doing it, I'm putting my all into it, and she's backing me 100%. But my kids are at the age now previously where we could tag them along and it didn't really matter. But they're picking things up now. And it was a couple of weeks or months ago, we were at the coast and I was about 2 weeks out and they dropped me off at a small gym there. They ran to the store to go pick up some food. And my oldest son said, how come we can only go on vacations where dad can go to the gym? And I was like, mm. So it's not always going to be perfect, and I say I'm hanging it up. And even when my wife and I talked, she was like, "Look, we got 8 more summers. That's it. 8 more summers with my oldest son before he's out of the house. Once he
Mm.
leaves and our youngest is right behind him, you can go do what you want because it'll just be us. You want to jump back on stage at 50 plus years old, you go do that. But for now, I need you with the family." And I've
That's hard math to do, isn't it?
right because it's
It's hard math when you make something so realistic. Um, I've talked about that with people that live far away from family, and I ask them, "Well, how often do you see your mom or dad?" Right, and they say 1 to 2 times a year. I'm like, "Well, you're 50 years old. You know, what if you only live another 25 years?
well,
You're only
and how
what
old,
if
how old is their, so what if they only live
yeah,
another
so
10
so if they live another 25 years, you may see them another 20 to 50 times, right?
at best?
That's
Yeah.
not a lot. That's
No.
not a lot, dude. So yeah, doing the realistic math is troubling, and it makes things hurt when you can see it laid out in front of you. So yeah, I get it. 8 summers. That's not a lot.
And then at the same,
But
oh, go ahead.
no, that's it. That's what
Yeah,
I was touching
I
on.
was just going to say at the same time, I've been doing this on and off. Not every year. I've taken a year, 2 years here, so and so. But almost, pretty much a decade. And it's like, okay, I get my pro card. It's been a decade for me, and that's about the average time. Most people, yes, you have
Hmm.
those phenoms that will come in a year or
Of
two,
course.
maybe three,
Yeah.
but for the average person, it's 6, 7, 8 years before they get their card.
Hmm.
If I've been doing this for 10 years, I'm 35 years old.
Hmm.
if I'm going to the O, I would already been there. And yes, I've made more progress with the current coach that I've had now than I have in the past in a much shorter period of time. But hindsight
Mhm.
being 2020, I can only work with what I have. And
Yep.
so I have to be realistic and say, okay, am I doing this solely for me, or am I doing this to appease the thought of just holding this thing? And so, when she put it like that, I said, look, just give me this and I will hang it up for now. And I'm okay with that because I'll always be a bodybuilder. The only difference
Yeah.
is, I won't
The
be on
stage.
is
That's
this
all that
exactly.
changes. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And arguably, that's the least exciting part for both of us.
right.
I know you're the same way as me. We just want to train
I love the
and
grind.
we like, yeah, okay, cool. You look good one day out of the year,
Hmm.
but we want to look good for 364 days.
Yeah.
And that one day will look exceptionally good. But we want to make it a lifestyle where, we always look and feel good. And you and I both know by 6, 8 weeks out, that's not us anymore. That's some different person.
Yep.
Your personality's different. Your anxiety's higher. You're not the same dude,
Yep.
and then you look back at it once the show's done and you're like, man, I was a head case there for a little bit. What happened?
Yeah.
Um, so I want to touch on one thing before we even get into children and um, the variable that they bring in. You mentioned your wife being supportive, and I just want you to describe that to me. What does that mean to you? A supportive wife or a supportive partner? What does that look like for the viewers and listeners, um, so they can try to determine for themselves, are they in a supportive relationship? I'm not trying to get anyone divorced here or anything, but I just want you to describe that um, for the viewers, so they know what that means when you say I have a supportive wife.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, I mean, she understands that there are certain things that I need to do. And she will ask me, what's your training look like today? I have this, this, and this. Can you be home by this time? Or is this possible? I can call her. She works for the school district. So right now she's off with the kids all
Oh,
summer.
cool. My
Um,
wife's a teacher too.
okay, awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so she's home with the boys. And like the other day, I was like, hey, can you cook me 3 or 4 chicken breasts? I'm starting to run low. No problem. So, she's making dinner. I usually cook our dinner because she's got a lot of other stuff going on. She loves cooking.
Hmm.
She's a great cook, but I try to alleviate things from her as much as possible, especially during prep. Um, but she just picks up the areas where I may lack. And to me, that is the most supportive. That's any marriage. But
Mm,
again, she didn't sign up to do a show. She didn't sign up for me to have cardio 1 to 2 times a day or have to go to the gym or even down to the
hmm.
shop or whatever the case may be. So she understands that there are certain things that have to be done in order to get where I want to be. Um, and she helps out along the way and supports me in that. I know a lot of people that have gone through this and have come out the other side either spouseless or friendless. Um,
Yeah.
because it's they I don't care what you're doing, I'm going to go do this, like the other day. And I try really hard to make sure that we do things, and that ties back into what you were talking about with John Meadows. After we had that conversation, she said, yeah, you have your load days, but usually you do your thing and we do our thing, and that's it. And I said, okay, I promise, we'll start doing more. So for the past several weeks, we've either gone out to breakfast or we've gone out to dinner, and that's become kind of our Sunday ritual.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as the support, it's like I said, back when we were at the hotel room in for USA's, you do what you need to do and focus on winning. And I got the kids. Like, to me, there's nothing more that can be said or done.
What else can you ask for at that
Yep.
point? She can't do the show for you.
Nope. And that's a
She's
supportive.
let me take care of this. You finish this thing off. go get the hardware and bring it home, and then we can rekindle, right, and fix all the issues you potentially cause.
Yeah, and I tried, like, we went and saw Deadpool the other day. We were supposed
Cool.
to the kids were going to stay with grandma and grandpa, so we were gonna go do, I think, sushi, because I was just gonna grab some sashimi, it fits, protein, fats, perfect.
Yep,
Uh, one of my kids ended up getting sick.
that's
And
right. Yeah.
so we ended up just watching a movie, but we got back home and she said, thank you for taking me out. Because we get so fixated on just hammering down on I mean, in prep, you become a robot and you almost have to be. It's Groundhog's Day.
Would
Um,
you say would you say in prep, not you specifically, just bodybuilders in general, that sometimes we just take our partner for granted and
Often.
mm,
And I think that's where a lot of issues lie on people is they figure that the other person will automatically pick up the slack, or a lot of people just go into autopilot and they do their own thing entirely, and it's
mm,
come along with me if you want, but this is the direction that I'm headed. And I think that's where a lot of issues come up. And so even prior to starting this prep, I said, I want to have good communication every month. I was doing a check-in with her, just like I would do a
mm,
check-in with my coach. How do you feel
mhm,
we're doing in this area? How is this going? Is there anywhere that I can help do more? And I think having those types of conversations fall by the wayside, but it's what needs to happen because we don't realize, like you said, we become head cases. We get so fixated on what we're doing that we don't even realize I haven't taken you out on a date in 6
mm-mm.
months. I
Nope.
haven't on and taken the kids. And that's one of the other things. And I highly recommend this as your son gets older. And if you
Mm,
have more kids, not only for bonding, and I try to do this year round, but especially when I'm in prep, every single Sunday we do, and you might have seen it on my Instagram,
I have.
we
Yeah.
do boys day and I find
Yep.
something, whether it's we go to a movie, usually it's something that involves us getting out and moving, but we'll go on
Hmm.
bike rides and then I'll use my load. There's a spot downtown that they absolutely love, so we'll go ride our bikes. I'll park downtown, we'll ride through the waterfront and around, bring the bikes back, and then there's a spot downtown they love to eat at and we'll go do that, and I use that for one of my load meals. uh,
Hmm.
and they absolutely love it. But the biggest thing is it gives my wife about a 2 to 3 hour break where
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
her. And it does. And there's some days where I'll come back, I'll be like, hey, what'd you do? And she's like, oh, I did da 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 da, and just rattle off a ton of stuff that she wasn't able to get done because the kids were hanging on her. And then other days, I literally read my book and drank coffee in bed. Thank you. And I
Yeah.
think making sure you take the time to do that. Take the time to continue to date your spouse. And I'm not perfect, but these
Mm-mm.
are all things that I look back on and I say, because I didn't used to do that at all. And I try to do it more now.
Hmm.
Those are all things that really help the relationship, communication, um, taking a load off where you can and just
Hmm.
helping out when and where you can. But the communication is by far number one. Where am I falling short? Where do you
Hmm.
need me to pick things up? What is going well?
How do you feel? This is a funny question because I've been incorporating this with clients because a lot of the times I will do a husband wife combo
Which
and
is
they're trying
great.
to lose. It's awesome. It's so much fun. Um, and I'll ask the clients, not together, we're not in a group chat or anything. I'll ask them separately, do you know so and so's love language, their partner, right?
That's a good. I need to start asking that because I do a
You
lot of
should
couples
try
as
it.
well.
You
That's
should try it.
yeah.
Because here's what happens. This happened to me in my own prep. And it's funny because I'm advising on it all the time, and I couldn't even see myself doing it wrong. Basically, I know that one of my wife's love languages is acts of service.
Hmm.
And as you know, when you're prepping for a show, the only acts of service you're doing are for yourself.
Yep.
So there was a moment where she's very pregnant at that point, and I'm very close to the show, and I wasn't doing really anything around the house. because you don't have the energy.
Hmm.
You don't have, I don't know, maybe you don't care, quote unquote. Maybe it's the wrong word, but you lose sight of it. And she told me one day, like, I feel alone in this pregnancy. And I'm like, man,
That's
that
heavy.
one hit me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one hit me hard because I'm like, dude, I missed the mark. Forget about the prep. I missed the mark on what matters, and that's my relationship.
Hmm.
And dude, I mean, to reverse that, you got to start doing some work,
Yep.
and fix what you potentially skewed, and my wife is super cool, super resilient to all my BS, everything like that comes with bodybuilding. um, if anyone's more patient than her, I'd love to meet them because I haven't met them yet. um, so I ask my clients, do you know your wife's love language? Do you know your husband's love language? And a lot of them don't. So in prep or just a strong dieting phase, I find guys are buying their wife gifts and they're trying to be touchy feely and like it's not even their love language. And they're
Hmm.
like, I don't know, my wife is mad at me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's like, you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. You're just missing doing the right thing.
Yeah.
It, her, maybe their spouse has of active service love language, and you're leaving your 6 meal dishes in the sink instead of cleaning them, loading these little things, where people are just missing the mark on what their partner's love language might be. What I'm going to do is just summarize a couple things that I think may help other competitors, other people just living this lifestyle, things like that. Um, the first one, obviously, is going to be find out what love languages are. I know they're kind of cheesy, but I've found them to hold a lot of value and just really help me understand my partner personally and help build a strong relationship between us. Like I said, my wife is super cool, so being in a relationship with her is not a difficult thing, but I still cannot just take that for granted and just accept that she's always going to be cool and just go with the flow. um, so what I would advise others to do, learn the love languages. There's a quiz online. You can send your wife a link. She might think it's cute, whatever. Have her take that, take it yourself. And then I don't know, every year or so, I think it's a good idea to take it again because
Hmm.
those love languages may change over time depending on your current situation at that time. Um, so I think that would be advisable to bodybuilders, people living this lifestyle, etc. Um, the other top one that I would mention, and maybe this ties into the love languages because maybe quality time is one of their love languages, but really setting aside an entire day where you make it about your partner and just seeing where you can help them. Maybe they don't want you around at all. maybe they want to read their book and drink coffee in bed like your wife did, right? And that was a great day for her. So maybe that is all they want, and that's cool. Maybe you guys should plan and maybe start with a monthly date, right?
So can
On
I
this,
can
go
I tell
ahead,
you what we
please,
do?
please.
All right.
Yeah.
So it does get a little bit more difficult in prep, but we've been trying over the last couple of years to follow the 2 by 2 by 2 rule. And
Okay. Tell me about that.
yeah, so basically what that is every 2 weeks, so every other week, you go on a date.
Hmm.
Every 2 months, you take a weekend getaway. So like a Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
And every 2 years, you take a proper vacation. So like four
Mm.
or 5 days going away, no kids if possible. I know for some people,
No bodybuilding.
yeah. And with
Yeah.
all of this, no bodybuilding. When
No
we go on
bodybuilding.
dates, I do my and this is something I had to learn over time because we're excited. Oh, these changes are happening, and oh, coach said this, or oh, da da da. When we go on
Oh
dates,
my God. I know what you're going to say.
yeah. When we go on dates
Gonna
now,
say,
absolutely
hell
no
no.
bodybuilding
Hell no. Absolutely not.
because she doesn't give a shit. And if she does, she'll ask me about it and I will tell her briefly, but she
Yes.
doesn't care.
They don't care. I
She does
promise.
not care.
And that's not being supportive. They're not. How often do you ask your wife about what type of makeup she's using?
Yep.
Or
Only when I'm
what
at the
type?
store and she tells me she needs me to pick something up.
Yeah. Babe, what do you need from Amazon? I'm ordering stuff,
Yep.
Yeah.
What brand was that?
Exactly. Yeah. So, number one, figure out love languages. Number two, 2 by 2 by 2. Is that what you called it?
Yep. Or at
Okay.
least
So,
just don't forget to date your wife, minimum,
date your wife.
or
Let's
spouse.
decide. Let's decide. Yeah, sorry. Let's decide on a number three together. So, what would you say? Okay, I want to add to one and two. This is funny because you'll agree on this, and maybe this is three. Do not talk about bodybuilding
Yeah. I think that's three.
unless
Keep it out.
I think that's three. Unless maybe there's a select few couples that are in the industry together, blah blah blah. Okay, cool, fine. Uh, but don't talk about bodybuilding with your partner unless they ask you about it. One or two, you're trying to get some feedback on something quick. Like, hey, I was thinking about doing this for my posing routine song. Do you like this song? Yeah, it's a cool song. Okay, cool. Find a friend or a few friends who you can chat about bodybuilding with. Save that stuff for them. Talk about your coach. Talk with your coach about bodybuilding. Your partner rarely wants to hear about it. I promise. They're already living it.
Yep.
They're already living it. They don't want to hear you. There was one, it might have been my first prep. And my wife stopped me for a second. This was a couple weeks into prep. And she's like, we've talked about nothing except bodybuilding, like every single time we've talked this week. And I'm like, man, like I didn't realize I was doing that.
Hmm.
And so now, like, I don't share a lot unless she asks. And now she actually wants to ask because she's like, oh, I haven't heard you talk about this in a little bit. How's this going? It's going cool, it's going great. And she's like, oh, I noticed you're doing this, this, and this. That seems different. I said, yeah, we're doing it because of this. And she's like, okay, cool. So yeah, that would be a huge one. It's just don't bring it up. And then this is part of that one. If you are discussing bodybuilding with a friend and it happens to be via cell phone or electronic device of some kind, you're not doing yourself any favors by now just not talking to your wife at all
Hmm.
or partner at all and just burying yourself in an electronic device. Um, because that's what my second prep looked like. Okay, I won't talk about bodybuilding as much with her, but now I'm going to text my friends all day long. It's like, oh no, I missed the mark. The pendulum swung way too hard. I That's what bodybuilding is, right?
I always say if you're gonna be here, be here. Last night when my son was sick, because we were supposed to record last night, and when they went to bed, we decided we were just gonna hang and watch a movie. So he got
Mm,
2 nights ago. We thought he was better, ended up still being sick. They went to bed, and I said, "Hey, let's just chill, watch a movie." My phone was on the other side of the house, and not
yep,
one time until that movie got over did I get
yep,
up to go grab it
yep.
because
I
I
take
wanted
I
her to
take my
know.
watch
Yep,
off. Put my phone on do not disturb and I flip it upside down and I put it in the kitchen. We're in the living room. Um,
unplug.
yep. So I'm gonna add a bonus one, and this ties all of these in together, and it ties into exactly what you just said. The first time I met Dave Tate, um, I think it was 2013 or 2014. I asked him for the number one advice on becoming a better athlete. And I'm thinking he's going to tell me about nutrition or supplements or some type of program. And he just said, be present
Yep.
and be intentional in what you're doing in the moment. If you're in the gym, be in the gym. Nothing else exists besides what you are doing that day, what you're there to do. When you're with your wife or your partner, be with your partner. That doesn't mean bring the gym on your cell phone. Don't be watching your workout videos that you recorded, right? While your wife is sitting next to you, you guys are sitting in front of a TV. Now you're still in the gym, you're just on your phone, and your partner happens to be sitting next to you, right? That's not intentional. You're not present. So it was the funniest thing because I was expecting something X's and, the
Mhm.
talk about nutrition, training, recovery, whatever. And he's like, no, you just need to be present in everything you do. If
Yeah,
you're at work, be at work,
it'll make you better.
so it'll make you better. 100%.
I'll give you those are three great ones. Those
Mm-hmm.
are really good ones.
Yep.
So I'll give my three on doing the best you can with children. And
Children. Yep. Let's add those into the mix.
definitely. So we talked about spouses. When it comes to the kids and the family, number one is incorporate. Find
Okay.
time, or I shouldn't say find, make time to have
Mm-hmm.
family time.
Mm.
And whether that's eating dinner at the same time, even if you're eating something else every night, find some sort of normalcy for them to come together.
Mm.
So that's number one. Number two is be flexible. This is a very rigid sport in all aspects. However, you have to be flexible in the sense of maybe you used to train after 3 meals, but now you have a kid and you need to be around in the afternoon. Well, guess what? Get your ass up early and go train at 5, 6 a.m. if you have to, or
Mm-hmm.
before work. Or
Mm-hmm.
if you get an hour lunch, eat your food at your desk if you can, or whatever you got to do, go train on your lunch. But
Yep.
find a way to make it work, which is what I did. I went and trained at 5 a.m. Then I would just shower, change, go straight to work because I had to pick my kids up from daycare. So I didn't have time anymore to be able to train right after work like I used to. So
And
find,
just real quick on that one,
yeah,
did you find that your workouts became more important
very
or
much
more
so.
intentional? Okay, good. Okay.
And
Yep.
and
That's
it,
what I figured.
yeah, because I knew, and then it got to the point where I had some time after. I had an hour after
Hmm.
work. I literally, and luckily I'm 5 minutes from the gym. So
Hmm.
I would drive from my office to the gym, change and work out. And I would tell people, I'm really sorry. I would love to chat with you, but I only have an hour and then I got to go run and grab my kid.
These are staying on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Headphones are not coming off.
And I
I'm
remember
sorry.
and I remember I even had a lady say, because I did have some time and I was talking to her after and we were just, regular stuff. And
Yeah.
she goes, wow, you're really nice. And I said, I'm sorry, did I ever give you the impression I wasn't? She goes, no,
Mm.
you're just in here, you're very diligent, you do your thing and you leave. And I said, I only have an hour from the time I set foot in this door to the time that I have to leave to go pick up my kids. So I have to
Yep.
make sure every minute counts. And she was like, oh, I totally get that. And since then, every time we see each other in passing, we laugh, we joke.
Smile and a wave. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
make the
And
time.
and what you're doing in that time is being present with your workout and you're being intentional, right? Circle back to Dave Tate. So, and then let's hear number 3.
Yeah. So make the time to have family time, be flexible. And then
Okay.
number three is do not impose. And this goes for both. This is all encompassing. Do not
Hmm.
impose what you are doing on the rest of your family. I do
Mm.
not tell my boys you can't have McDonald's today because dad has to eat this. When I drove with that Popeyes, it's sitting in the back seat and I'm smelling
Oh,
like, oh
baby.
man, you know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. There
But
was,
when
yeah,
I got
like,
home, it was here's the food. Let's have dinner. Dad's food's all ready to go, and you guys go ahead and eat, and
yeah.
let's sit down and talk about our days.
Did it not feel good though to bring your kids that food and you ate your own food and it was all fine? But there's a happy sense. Like when my wife was pregnant, she would want little certain things. Hey, can you pick me up Chipotle from after the gym? Sure, no problem. I'm in prep and just like you said, that Chipotle smelling in the car, you smell it the next morning, when you head out for work and you're like, man, that smells good. But I could bring her that and I knew it brought her some sense of comfort and she enjoyed it and there was an act of service involved and I know she appreciated that I did that for her. So yeah, maybe I had a craving for Chipotle, but it's like, dude, I just satisfied that love language.
Mhm.
I'm winning for the day. You just got to do it every day, right? So I think that's a good list, and I think all those could help a lot of people, and they all kind of tie together, like you said, but I think all those together is what's going to help you be successful in pursuing, being competitive while we'll call it balance. I don't care. I'll
Yeah,
use the word. I know it's a bad word, but we'll use it because what else do you call it?
it's true.
Hmm.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's some great tips for anybody watching. Take away what you can. Let us know in the comments what's worked well for you, or if you heard
Yeah.
something on this episode that was really insightful. Let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us. We got a lot more content coming for you guys. We're lining guests up left and right. And
Yep.
again, we're going beyond the X's and O's. That's why it's called Beyond the Bar. Is we're pulling the curtains back and we're talking bodybuilding lifestyle, everything
Hmm.
happens
Hmm.
beyond the gym, beyond the bar. So we got a great guest next week. We're trying to line up another really good one this weekend. So some good episodes coming out for you guys. If you guys have any questions or topics you want to hear, throw those
Yeah.
in the chat below too, or reach out to us on Instagram. Tommy, how can people get a hold of you if they want to inquire on coaching or just follow you?
TommyJohnCoaching.com is my website. The Chase Irons Discord is where I do a lot of my coaching out of. And then Tommy John Coaching on Instagram. I'm starting to put up some pretty raw training footage on my YouTube. That's Tommy John 312. It's all unedited. It's just me training in the garage, and I throw a little bit of cues in here and there. Maybe someone will pick something up useful out of it. So yeah, that's the best place to find me. How about you?
Perfect. So you can reach out to me at DGRO 39 on Instagram. Devin Grogan's on Facebook. Anybody that's interested in training, you can head to my website, nxtlevel-training.com. That's really about it. So that does it for this episode, and we're looking forward to catching you guys on the next one.
Very good. Thank you guys.
All right. See you later.